Hey everybody, and welcome again to the Dimsdale Debate. I'm Tommy Dimsdale, and today we're going to be allowing you to get a little more inside information and get a first-hand account of what happened and what I saw at the Second Amendment rally in Virginia. It was amazing, so hang on to your private sector because here comes the Dimsdale Debate. All right, so not a lot of this is very scripted or I'm just kind of shooting off about my experience at the Second Amendment rally in Virginia. It was absolutely amazing. It was so wonderful to see so many peaceful, law-abiding, gun-loving Americans all in one place together. It was fantastic. So just to start from the beginning, I had a friend named Jared. He invited me out. He used to be in real estate with me, or I used to be in real estate with him. And he said, "Man, you're going to come to this thing?" I'm like, "Heck yeah, I want to come to this thing. That'd be awesome to go up there." So for those of you who don't know, Governor Northam he's trying to enact sweeping gun laws across the state. And of course, you can get info from that from other places. We're just here to talk about the rally itself. But we got down there Sunday night and hooked up with a bunch of guys from ar15.com forum. And they kind of gave us a good briefing of what's going on. We had food and drinks there and stuff, and they had paid for it, which was fantastic. They raised a lot of money to cater that. But anyways, they went in, and right away it was a very serious situation. It wasn't just a bunch of rednecks showing up with a bunch of AR-15s goofing off like they were Army soldiers. No, I mean, we had ex-law enforcement, ex-military, and they were all, very, very articulate and very prepared, and they had thought this out. It actually made me feel a lot better knowing that they had thought this out this well. So we get in there, and they, immediately start talking about, the fact that, this is a serious situation, and this is a peaceful rally. They said, one of them come up and said, "Hey, who's heard of Leroy Jenkins in here?" And maybe about half of the group laughed because they have heard of Leroy Jenkins. If you haven't, go Google it and you'll be like, "Oh, that's why I mentioned him." But he said, if you want to rush the gates, if you want to act like a fool, that's on you. We're not helping you out. We're here to peacefully protest these anti-Second Amendment laws and stand up for what we believe in peacefully. And one thing I really liked that he said was, there's a difference between a peaceful protest and a unarmed or an armless protest. We're showing them this is a show of force to the Virginia legislature. That we can handle this, that we do have resolve, but we are also going to show restraint by knowing that by stating that this is a peaceful demonstration. It's we're acknowledging the fact that we can exact terrible violence on the Virginia government, and yet we will restrain ourselves and we will choose not to. And believe me, there was enough people there that morning. There were about everybody in the crowd had an AR-15 or some type of firearm on them, open carrying. And yet no one got arrested. I've heard numbers like 22,000 to 100,000. I don't know how many people showed up, but you have that many people show up and absolutely zero arrests. I would think it'd be an anomaly not to have at least 5, 6, 7 arrests, of people who, get a little too excited, but and can't control themselves or their anger or whatever. But they told us, you might have people who come in there and they're going to be screaming at you. They might be throwing things. You are to remain resolute. And I'll throw a picture up on the screen of the patch they gave us. It was the Silent Brigade, and they said, who's in here in the military? And a bunch of people raised their hands. Like, it's what is scarier, to go into a situation where you hear guns popping off, or to go into an area that you think is going to be violent and it be totally calm and quiet. It is unnerving. He said, that's what we're going to do. If people are in our face, you are going to remain silent and resolute in what you believe, but you're not going to respond to these people. And they went on to talk about things like tear gas, how many guys it takes to remove someone from the street, a casualty, and where they had medical stations backed up. They had a HQ that was in the hotel up above us, and they were watching everything, making sure that everything was as peaceful as possible. We got our radios programmed that night. to be on their channel, and we could listen to everything that was going on. So if something was going on, we could be alerted to it, and we could remove ourselves from the situation as quickly and safely and professionally as possible. But one of the guys went on to tell us the permit for our assembly for our protest had been revoked because this ignoramus idiot governor thinks that a bunch of white supremacists are going to come down on the Richmond, Virginia Capitol and try to shoot the place up, which definitely not happened. Didn't even come close to happening. But he issued a state of emergency, and that pretty much rendered our permit null and void. It didn't mean anything anymore. And so when we were assembling outside of the Capitol grounds, they could say that we were unlawfully assembling. And at that point, the Democrats had rewritten the laws in the state, or this is what we were told, that they could deal with you in whatever way that they decided, whether that be non-lethally or lethally with force. If you had a gun on you, or if you had body armor, they could deal with you however they wanted to. And if you wanted to stay at that point, that's fine. You do you, but we're backing up. We're going to retreat. But it was so just talking about that kind of stuff. And also, it would be a Class 3 felony if you hung around under unlawful assembly. One of our leaders, asked the Virginia State Police captain, well, are you gonna declare unlawful assembly on my guys? And he wouldn't answer. He just kind of turned his head. He said, well, who's gonna be the one to pull the trigger on that? And he responded and said, Governor Northam will. He's got complete control. If he wants you out of there, you got to leave. So going into this, it was very somber, it was very serious. We had a good time there, and it had a very 1776 feel. We were about to go into something that we didn't know what might happen to us, and yet we still went when we didn't absolutely have to, even though we felt a great responsibility to, we didn't have to. It was a very surreal experience. It felt like, the Green Dragon Tavern in 1775, which was an awesome feeling. But it was very serious at the same time. It wasn't like goofing off. Anyways, we got done with, the briefing. The next morning we get up at about 5:30. We get ready by 6:15. We're walking the streets of Richmond, Virginia. We're going to assemble ourselves at the staging place, which is the amphitheater. And we get there, and there's about 150 to 200 people in full kit. I'm talking body armor, extra magazines sticking out everywhere, helmets, AR-15s, pistols, everything. And it was pretty wild. They give you a leader, said, this is your CO, this is who you're going to follow. If you're with us, this is the person you follow. If he tells you to retreat, to move back, you follow him. You look towards him. He'll be receiving all the information from us. So our CO was awesome. I can't mention any names, but he sat and talked to us for a good little bit. But probably the most awesome feeling that I wish everyone could experience, but then again, I don't wish that they would have to again. It was really worth doing. Was we were marching in formation in columns of two, about a half mile to the Richmond Capitol, and you see all these men dressed like this who are ready to do what it takes for their country. They're marching, because they believe in it. And the sun is coming up over the river out there, and it's just an absolutely, beautiful thing. It felt very reminiscent that we were walking in some of the same footsteps as other people who had come before us, in the Revolutionary War and probably in other instances as well. We were fighting we were, going to stand up for what we believed in, and, not knowing that, maybe there's a chance you might be dead within an hour. You might be dead within 2 hours. Probably not, but you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know if Antifa is going to show up, because we had a lot of rumors about Antifa showing up in MAGA hats and provoking people and, shooting and stuff, and it could have happened. And thank God it didn't. But we're marching out through there, and it really is amazing, that feeling. Going to do something that to stand up for something you believe in, not knowing what repercussions might happen. It's a very freeing feeling. But anyways, we march into Richmond, and I've got my Appeal to Heaven flag, which I think is absolutely, perfect for the scenario. You can kind of see it here if you just get an idea of what it looks like. But that was the first flag that was ever flown over our Navy, over our battleships, and the flag is a symbol of peace. And they used it for that. That's what they united all the militia under, because all these militia came from different states. They needed a flag to unite under, and Washington picked this one. He commissioned the first 7 battleships out of his own pocket and gave them to the Continental Congress, to our Army, to our military, to our Navy, I guess. And it was really cool. Like, this is an appeal to heaven. We're praying to God that nothing happens. Here's a sign of peace. This is the pine tree, a sign of peace. But right down below that, you see this big, huge ship with guns bristling everywhere. So back in those days, not only could you have military rifles, but you could have freaking battleships. How cool is that? And it was kind of reminiscent, because we were marching through. I had the flag flying, and so it was a symbol of peace. But right under that flag was a bunch of guys who were armed to the teeth and ready to fight if need be. Didn't want to. Peace was the first and foremost thing we wanted, and of course that ultimately prevailed, thank God. So we get there. The cops were absolutely wonderful. The police, if you were a policeman in Virginia that day, thank you for taking care of us. Thank you for coordinating with us and ultimately being on our side. It was very calming and reassuring when we got there to see police being friendly to us, and it was a fantastic experience. And the relationship that our headquarters had with police worked very well. But you get there and it's just packed to the gills with people. You can't move 2 inches one way without bumping into somebody. They had all these booths set up, just not only support the Second Amendment, to recall Governor Northam. And we hung around for a good little while, and everything was fine. Went back to the hotel room for a little bit, came back out, and by the time we came back out for the actual rally, you couldn't see the grass out on the lawn out there. And if you didn't know, Governor Northam said, no, you can't have guns. The state of emergency, can't have guns on Capitol grounds, which was absolutely idiotic. It was dumb. As he can see, nobody was wanting to start anything. But the people who did decide to go in unarmed and give up their guns to get in, thank you for doing so. You took a risk, and we appreciate you, taking one for the team and going in to be seen. And what we did there, I really don't think that it's going to make a big difference with the Democrats if they pass any gun laws or not. I highly, highly doubt it. But at the same time, we showed up and let the Republican legislature up there, let them know, hey, we've got your back. The entire nation, there's somebody from every state is up here to support you. And if you're a Republican in Virginia, man, we support you. We have your back. Go up there and lead. Make something happen and defend that Second Amendment. You've got the entire nation watching you, and it's time to lead. It's time to act. But I'm going to also reverse that back to us. I'm very happy to see so many tens of thousands of people show up for that Second Amendment rally. But one thing that I'm kind of disappointed in is the fact that it ever had to happen. There is apathy in this country like we have never seen. I have spoken to probably at least 1,500 people in the speeches I do. And hey, it might be my fault, but I don't know. I do the best I can on getting people involved in politics. After talking to so many people, we've had a couple people, come to some meetings and stuff and kind of dabble around a little bit, but we've never had anyone join the ranks, so to speak. And the people that are in politics right now, and they're holding the line, they're getting tired. And they're getting tired because nobody fresh is coming up to the front lines to relieve them. They're battle weary. And we need you. If you're watching this, we need you. We need your presence to be active, to keep up with what's going on. You know what? You might say, well, man, I just can't make phone calls. Or I can't knock on doors. I can't call my state representative. I can't do that. It's just not me. Guess what? It wasn't me. It wasn't them to go out and give their lives in the Revolutionary War. It wasn't for every man and woman who have died defending this country up until now. It wasn't them to do that. That wasn't what they wanted to do. They went out of their comfort zone. And now we are at a point in America where we see our Second Amendment rights are this close from being taken from us. Our founders set up a structure of government that we wouldn't have to die and bleed. All we have to do is pick up the phone. All we have to do is go to a couple meetings, show up, be counted. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And right now, liberals are pretty squeaky. I mean, they're making the most noise and we're not. Because if the average adult male would put as much time into politics as he does sports, this would be an entirely different country. Entirely different country. We need leadership in our ranks. And the fact that, you know, people had to go up and possibly risk their lives, it shouldn't have had to happen. One thing that always like really motivates me is the fact that so many millions of men have died for this country. If you want to honor those men, if you want to honor the men who have died for this country, you have to make this a country worth dying for back here at home. We need you. And you know, I've been a little less involved in politics lately because I feel like I'm banging my head against the wall, trying to get people involved, trying to come out to me and come out, get involved with us. And it's falling on deaf ears. I need you, your family needs you, your country needs you to do what is right, to go out of your comfort zone, to make some phone calls, go knock on doors. I don't care if you're not comfortable doing it. I don't care. You can't say, well, I'm going to let this country fall by the wayside because I'm not comfortable doing stuff. People have done a lot of uncomfortable things to make sure we have the freedoms that we have today. So anyways, guys, I want to thank everybody who was there. Thank you to everyone who stayed behind and cleaned up. How wonderful is that? That is awesome. All these people come in, 0 arrest, 0 litter, and it was a wonderful time to be in America at the Second Amendment rally in Virginia. And I thank God, you know, I praise God that nothing, you know, happened. We prayed before we left. It was a truly amazing time. If you didn't make it, you really missed out, because that might be the only time that happens, and hopefully it doesn't have to happen again. But anyways, guys, we need you out on the front lines with us. We need you to be involved, and we need you to keep up with what's going on in Virginia, because Virginians' rights are our rights. I don't care what state you're in. This is the time where the liberal elites, they start testing. Let's see if we can get away with this. And if they can get away with it, they'll do it in other states too. We have to remain resolute in what we're doing. But anyways, guys, I've taken up enough of your time. Thank you so much for listening to Dimsdale Debate. If you want a copy of my book, Call to Arms, you can go to Amazon. I've got it linked in the description below. I want you to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it on YouTube or Facebook. And guys, thank you so much for the time, and just listen to me ramble on about my experiences at the Second Amendment Virginia rally. But y'all have a blessed one. Stay sharp.